I've been studying Judaism.
They probably deceived you about the nature of God, because if they taught you God as one person, is that what they taught you?
Yeah, one person, one being.
Number one, Rabbinic Judaism does not teach that. They lied to you. Daniel Boyarin, he's an Orthodox Jewish scholar. He wrote this book where he shows that the Gospels are affirming Christ as the second divine power that the Jews at that time believed existed alongside of God. He's not the only one. Peter Schaeffer, he says that the New Testament teaching of Jesus Christ as the God-man is in perfect conformity and agreement with the views of the Jews at that time of the second divine power who would appear visibly, because that's whom the New Testament identified Jesus as. Contrary to popular belief, Judaism was not always strictly monotheistic. See, they lied to you. Even the Talmud acknowledges a second divine power that they call Metatron. Did they tell you this? Here's Alan of Siegel. He wrote as a Jew saying that the rabbis after the 2nd century started censoring and condemning the Jews who would speak of a second power, because the Christians and Gnostics started appealing to the very text of the Old Testament to prove there's a second power, to then identify that second power with their figure. So then the rabbis say anyone who speaks of two powers from now on is condemned. Secondly, did the rabbis tell you that in Rabbinic Judaism, the Kabbalah, did they tell you about the Ein Sof? The Ein Sof, it refers to the infinite. Their view of God is more Gnostic, pagan, Platonic. Why? In Rabbinic Judaism, or the Kabbalah, let's say, which is part of mystical Judaism, which is part of rabbinic tradition, they believe in the Ein Sof, and from that, 10 manifestations called Sephirot. They're male and female, they're divine, and they also believe in a feminine aspect of the Ein Sof called the Shekhinah, and that's the feminine aspect of God.
They believe in 10 manifestations of God?
Yeah, right here. In Kabbalah, Ein Sof, the infinite without end, is the ultimate infinite indescribable aspect of God, from which the 10 Sephirot, divine emanations or attributes, are said to emanate. How come they didn't tell you that? See, they lied to you, Pinnacle. Brother, don't believe the lies. Either they're ignorant or they're lying. Old Testament does not teach a unipersonal God, and Judaism does not believe in a singular person. Tell them, how do you explain the Shekhinah, the 10 Sephirot? How do you explain the Ein Sof? What do you do with all these Jewish sources showing that the Jews before and during time of Christ believe in a second power? They didn't tell you that, right? Kitir, Bina, I believe this is Hakma, Dat, Chesed, Gavura, Tafrid, Netza, Yesid, Malchut, Hod.
What are those, could you give me like a rough overview of what those mean? I don't speak.
Well, no, these are Hebrew words, like Chesed would mean mercy. But these are divine emanations, meaning they're male and female divinities that emanate from the one. That's actually Gnosticism. If you study Gnostic teaching, they believe in what they call the monad, and from the monad comes the pleroma, where you have aeons, manifestations from the monad. That's why in Rabbinic Judaism, they also have the belief in reincarnation.
The Jewish people that we kind of get a hint of, I know that Christ was rebuking them, but like, for example, when he appeared to, I think it was a Sumerian woman, and he was like, we know
what we worship.
Yeah, we know what we worship.
But who's he talking about? Because he says to the same Jews that you don't know God and you're of your father, the devil. So we got to read Jesus in context. He's speaking to the Jews. You belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he's a liar and the father lies. Now, who's he talking to? Jesus replied, if I glorify myself, my glory means nothing. My Father, whom you claim as your God, is the one who glorifies me. Though you do not know him, the Jews don't know God. He just said it. I know him. If I said I did not, I'd be a liar like you. But I do know him and obey his word. So no, we don't take Jesus out of context. We take him in context. So what he means, in comparison to the Samaritans, the Jews know a lot more about God than they do, because the Samaritans only had the 5 books. The Jews had more than the 5 books. Samaritans only accepted the Pentateuch, the Torah. They didn't have the rest of the books. So Jesus is saying, you have an incomplete understanding of God because you have an incomplete revelation. It's we Jews who know who God is because we have that revelation, but not all Jews, because then he says to the Jews, you don't know God. So Pinnacle, they're deceiving you. Why do you think there are now hundreds of thousands of Jews who worship Jesus and worship the Trinity? Michael Brown, one of the leading Jewish scholars, Arnold Fruchterman, Chosen People Ministries, Jews for Jesus, One for Israel. These are all Jews and Israelites who worship the Trinity, worship Jesus God, and use the Old Testament to prove the New Testament is true. Singular pronouns, right? Well, it means one person. All right, let's see. Here it's talking about the tribes of Judah and the tribes of Simeon when they entered the land and they had conquered the land. land after Joshua died. Watch the pronouns. Now, after the death of Joshua, it came to pass that the children of Israel asked the Lord, saying, who shall go up? Ya'ala is singular. It's not plural. It's not talking about a person. It's not about a whole tribe. Which soldiers from which tribe will go up and fight the Canaanites? But why is it singular? Ya'ala is singular, speaking as if it's one man. But then it says, fight the Canaanite. Ha-Kanani, that's singular. That's not plural. But they're not fighting one Canaanite. Then it says, and the Lord said, Judah shall go up. Judah, he shall go up. It's a singular verb. But he's not talking about Judah, the son of Jacob. He had been long dead. He's talking about the tribe. Why is he speaking of him as one man? Behold, I have delivered the land into his hand. His hand? Judah? His? No, it's not one man. It's certain soldiers from the tribe. Well, why is he speaking of him as one man with one hand? And then Judah said, Wa Yomer, singular, he said, unto Simeon, that's the other tribe, his brother. What brother? Simeon is a whole tribe. Why is it speaking of Simeon as one man? Come on, singular. With me. How come he didn't say with us? Into my lot. Why did he say our lot? That we might fight against the Canaanite. It's singular, Kanani. And I likewise will go with thee, singular, into thy lot. So Simeon went with him, and Judah went. What is going on here? How come 3 people groups, 2 tribes, and a nation are described as one man with one hand and described with singular verbs and pronouns? Now watch here. Another one. Psalm 130, verse 7-8. Let Israel, masculine, singular, proper noun, hope. Yahel, singular. Let Israel, let him hope in the Lord, for with the Lord there is mercy, and with him is plenteous redemption, and he shall redeem Israel from all his iniquities. How can we say their iniquities? Awonota, right, is third person masculine singular verb. It's not about a whole nation. His iniquities, he will hold a whole nation. Yeah.
My question to you, because I just kind of, just going around the internet, I still see people arguing over what the word was supposed to mean and what the word was supposed to indicate and how and what word should have been picked. So have people like what we read on the Bible Hub website, which according to whichever one you're going to pick, would you say it's 100% accurate to what the actual Hebrew or Greek writer might have meant?
The Bible Hub is using the standard critical Old Testament Hebrew edition that even the rabbis use. So if it's not accurate, then that means the Hebrew critical edition used by the rabbis is not accurate either. They're using the same sources. Everyone does. But if you go there, it'll tell you Israel, proper masculine singular noun. He will save Israel from all his sins. And what is it? Noun, common, sins is plural, but the his is singular. His sins, not their sins. So why? Why is it speaking of an entire tribe as one man? So when they tell you there are singular verbs, participles used for God, so what? That doesn't mean he's one person. But now let me turn the tables on them. You want to see now what's embarrassing, which they probably didn't tell you? Plural verbs, plural participles, adjectives are used for God. Let's go to Genesis 20:13. And when God caused me to wander, you see this? Hital? It's literally plural. When God, they caused me to wander. They caused me. It's plural of ta. Again, you don't take my word for it. We're going to go to the interlinear. Hital, and it'll tell you verb, high full perfect, third person, common, plural. They caused me to wander. Why is God being spoken as a they? Genesis 35:7. And there he, Jacob, built an altar and called the place Il Bethel, God of the house of God, because there God had revealed himself, Neglu, to him when he fled from his brother. Neglu is plural of Gala. Literally it's when gods, they revealed themselves to him. Neglu is plural of Gala. It's they revealed themselves. Why is God again spoken in the plural?
Neglu, it was a plural, I think you said adverb or plural adverb, which
participle of what?
Of the noun.
The verb. It's plural participle of the verb Gala. What was the verse we were looking at?
We're looking at the story when it came to the built. He sent them to El Bethel. Yeah.
God of the house of God.
Yeah.
And he said because there God did what?
Revealed himself.
But the word neglu is the plural of Gala. It means there they revealed themselves to him. And to show it to you, here it is.
Sam, why don't they I see what you're saying, but if that's the clear meaning of how it should be used and what, like you said, the Jewish and everybody's going back to, then when the Bibles are being translated to the English language, why aren't they translating it to say that? I guess that's my question.
Why should they? Because if people are untrained, they're going to think that it's not about multiple gods. The untrained is going to take it as multiple gods. So why should they translate it that way? That's where the Bible teacher comes in. The Bible was not given for you to take home and read. The Bible was given to the priests of Israel, and they would expound it and explain it to the masses, because they didn't take a Bible home. That was not possible. They could not take a Bible home. That didn't exist at that time. So then the priest would have a copy of the law. They would read it aloud to the people and explain it. And the king would have a copy of the law, and he'd read it and he'd apply it. When it comes to the time of Christ, same thing. The copies of the Bible Bible were stored up in churches in the possession of the bishops. Most people illiterate, and even those who could read, could not afford copies, so they'd have to go to church, and the bishop, who was trained by an apostle, would then explain the meaning. So why should they translate as plural? That's where your teacher comes in and breaks it down for you.
I mean, it just seems so. I mean, if I understand, I'm with you 1,000% on that, but now it can almost seem like it takes a huge high learning curve to get to this now, because now you're telling me
no, it doesn't take.
Well, Sam, there's 90.
My point. I want to argue. It's up to you.
No, not an argument.
When they're reading it in Hebrew, are you telling me when this is read in Hebrew, not in your English, they're not hearing neglu the plural? What are you talking about, dude? When the priest is reading this, he's reading it in Hebrew to those who hear Hebrew, so they're hearing the plural. They're not like you hearing it in English. What are you talking about?
I agree with you. I'm not arguing with that. If you're reading it.
So it's there. But why do translators not translate? Because someone untrained can misunderstand and think that the Bible talks about multiple gods as opposed to one God in multiple persons. That's the point. But when they're hearing it in Hebrew, all right, neglu illa ha-Elohim. Oh, they appeared to him. Who? Ha-Elohim. They're hearing the plural because it's in Hebrew. They're hearing it. It's you in English that don't see it. And why? Because they know someone like you and me will pick up the Bible and go read it at home without anyone teaching us. And then if I see they appeared, wow, multiple gods, polytheism, Mormonism, because the Bible is not given for you to take home. It was for you to be taught it in a church with a qualified bishop.
So a lot of these, would that in itself technically, in a sense, disqualify a good amount of American quote-unquote preachers because they don't understand?
Damn, you're a brilliant brother. Yes, exactly.